I'm David Robinson with the Carmel Doll Shop and the Grovian Doll Museum with Denise Buese.
Yes, thank you.
One of our guest sewing instructor, a regular sewing instructor. You're here once a year.
Yes.
For 4 days.
4 days.
But you're here just
we have a good time.
on film.
Yes, right now.
To introduce the spring version of the Hooray 4 Seasons kits.
That's right.
Yeah, so we have, and you're responsible for 2 of them.
Well, yes.
Yes, but now we're getting, it's spring, even though it's Christmas behind us. So now you know what time of year we were working. But you have a really wonderful project to share. So
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I think without further ado,
Right.
have I missed anything?
Well,
Are we ready
the
to get
name
started?
of this is Cotillion.
Oh, we forgot that part.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot that part. Well, super. So I think they're in for a treat. And
Yes.
you've enjoyed this particular
I
project.
have loved this.
Yeah, I think it's easy to work with.
Yes.
The fabric is friendly.
The fabric is gorgeous.
I know the
and they're
finished
going to love it.
product is spectacular.
Yes.
So, and that is to your credit,
Thank
100%. So without any other chatter,
Yeah.
we'll let Denise get to work.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Today we have the spring part of the Four Seasons series of virtual doll collection workshops. And this one is just lovely and exuberant. We're thinking that she is going to a party, and hence the name Cotillion. When we want to talk a little bit about this fabric, because you may not have worked with it before, and it's very, very beautiful. It's cotton voile, and it has been reprinted from an antique fabric that is in the Grovian Museum collection. And you can see the little bird patterns, the flowers. It's very spring-like, very lovely, very sweet. There is a direction to this fabric too. Some fabrics will go, every which way, and a lot of the antique ones did. But you want to be sure to line up your patterns so that they're facing all the same direction. This fabric may look kind of blue right now to you in the camera. But if you put it, and we have a white cloth, if you put it against white, it is pretty, the background is pretty white. Or maybe it's a light ivory, but it is lighter than it may appear on the camera. And it's a cotton, and it also, you can see its hand is very soft, it's very flowy, and that's fantastic for a lot of applications. But what we think we prefer doing here is preparing the fabric with some sizing. Now, maybe you can see how it has stiffened up a little bit, and that is so 19th century. And it will help this dress to just poof out beautifully. And we have found a particular brand of sizing that we like. And hold it right here. It's called Terrial Magic. It's a fabric stabilizer.
And they can buy this online.
They can buy this online, and it's terrialarts.com. TERIAL arts.com.
And it's about $15.
$15
for this size.
And what is this?
16 ounces?
No, this is 24.
Oh, 24.
Yeah, this is
okay.
the 24-ounce
24,
one. So this will last a long time. And it's better than starch. Starch sort of sits on top of the fabric. After a while, you sort of wear it off.
And we've done this twice.
Yes.
So there's no residue on that.
There's
Do you
no
see?
residue, there's no blotching, no spotting. So it was sprayed once, pressed and ironed until it's dry, sprayed twice, and pressed until it's dry.
And it's this, in the 19th century, they used potatoes for starch.
Right,
but
the potato base.
Most of the Hooray costumes that we have in voile are very, very stiff. And if they're not, you mist them, press them, and it
And it
reactivates.
comes back.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's just soaked into the fabric. Okay, so we'll get going with the sewing part of the workshop. First thing we're going to do is construct the bodice for this dress. And you can see that there are 7 pieces to this bodice. There were various different styles of bodices in the 19th century. This one I really love because it pretty much hugs the body, and I think it's beautiful as a party dress. And so when you see it, you're going to think, oh my gosh, which piece goes to which? It's, you know, you can see this especially, this is wonderful. You see this little curve and you think, what the heck, this doesn't match. But it gives a lovely curve to the bodice when it's finished. Now I'm going to turn these over and show you how on the pattern that you get, whoops, okay, we're going this way because it's your vision, not mine. Here, let's see, put it this way. And there we go. So it'll be easy. You'll just match A to A. So this gets sewn to this.
The A piece.
The A piece right here, the A side. The B sewn to the B. And the C to the C. And if you use this bodice again, you'll get used to it. But I always match it up like this before I start, to make it easier. Okay?
And Denise, you've flatlined all this.
Yes.
You've basted it and...
Oh, I have basted it, yes. Oh, yes. Baste, always do that. It's so much easier. You don't want, as you're sewing these together, you don't want things slipping, especially if you're using silk. Cotton's a little easier, but yes, it helps to baste.
And this is a nice cotton to work with, isn't it?
It's gorgeous. It's wonderful. Yeah. This batiste, and yes.
I mean, yes. I love silk, but sometimes you just need a little cotton break.
You need a little break. Yes, it's fun.
Well, shall we sew this up and come back?
Yes, let's sew it up and come back.
Okay.
Okay. Now you've sewn the bodice pieces together, and you can see what a lovely piece we have. Look at that. You can see the seam lines and the lines constructing the bodice to fit the body of the doll. Here's a side seam and a back seam.
And Denise, you've done this all by hand.
Yes, this is all done by hand.
But they could do this by machine if they were proficient.
And some people are excellent with the machine. Yes.
Now, it looks like you've decided to center a bluebird in the center of your bodice.
Well, you know, I did. And it was because I could. Now, you don't want to waste fabric, but if you can get away with doing something like that, why not? Yeah. Or maybe you choose the bouquet of flowers.
I like what you did with the bird.
I like that. I like doing that. Now, I wouldn't want to waste a whole lot of fabric trying to do things like that. And you can see with this one, this sample, it's random, but it's still very pretty.
It's still the bird is the birds are
it's still
prevalent.
Very pretty, yeah. Okay, so we'll look at the inside construction. Here, let's put that down. Okay, and simple. Sew up these seams.
You've overcast
them. These are the shoulder seams as well. And I have sewn up the center back because I fit it to my doll and it fit very well. What will work well for you is turning this side seam. Here, we'll use this one. I'm sorry. Over about 1/4 of an inch twice. There we go. And that's what I did.
Okay, 1/4 of an inch twice.
Yes, but fit it to your doll. Maybe you need a little more space, or maybe you can, make it a little larger.
Should we show this? I think we need to talk about the tape on it.
Well, yes, we will. Once you've sewn everything up, as you see it here, you'll fold up the bottom. It's about maybe a little more, maybe 5/8 of an inch.
And that'll be on the pattern.
And that'll be on the pattern. I fold it up and I press it. And then I've got a little press line here, a little, a fold there. And then you're going to sew the tape right up to the edge of that line, that press line. You don't want it to be showing, but right up to it. And then you'll turn it all under again and press it down.
And we need the strength of the tape.
We need this help. The tape, they use tape, yes, so that there wouldn't be too much pull on the bodice fabric.
Right, because
It hangs.
It's going to be very, even though this is lightweight, it's going to be fairly heavy. Shall we try it on the doll?
There's one more.
Oh,
then you would turn these edges under, fold it back over, sew it down, and then with nice little mouse stitches, sew it up, catching just the lining. Okay.
Just grabbing a couple fibers.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then you can
feel that.
and you
when
can
you're
sew
doing
along.
it.
You do, and sometimes you have to look in the back, and you just make sure you're doing it. Okay.
You can feel it though. If your stitches come through, take it out.
Take it out. Millions of times we've taken it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I think that it's very important for every sewer out there, no matter what, fit your doll as you go. Don't you agree?
Yes, I
Denise?
do. Yes, I do.
Because any of us can make a little mistake and.
Oh, you have to remember too that these patterns are handmade, hand drawn. The dolls are handmade for the most part. A lot of your dolls, and
Yeah, that's a beautiful fit.
let me fold this under because I haven't sewn that, and I'll pin it from the back here, and then I'll turn her around.
Do you know what's astounding is that blue and the Hire's eyes.
Oh yeah,
And it just pops.
and that lovely. Such a beautiful color. Whoop, here. Okay, well.
She needs to go shopping in our boutique and get some blue jewelry.
And she can. We
Yes.
have it. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And what you're going to do is put 3 little hooks that will be in the kit, and then corresponding loops.
And that's looking that's a beautiful fit. Just beautiful.
Okay. Oops. All right, let's take that off. And what we can do is just sew a loop in here, and show them how. I know we've done it in other workshops, but this is a new workshop.
This is a new workshop.
That's right.
This could be a totally new class.
Yes.
And I enjoy seeing how other people do their loops.
I do
because
too.
everybody has their own little tricks.
I do too, yeah. So you're going to, when you put the hooks on, then you're going to make sure it's overlapped to where you want it to be. And you can mark with a straight pin, like this, and then sew from there. Or you can use a friction pen, which many people know about, and which is erasable with the iron, with heat.
Or just use a little pencil. Just
Or a little
very,
pencil
very
mark,
light.
and you don't, yes. So I'm just going to say, okay, here it is. It's over here. And it might be about, we always like this 1/4 of an inch, but it might be about that size to fit these little size 00, I think they are, hooks. And then I'm going to do it twice. And I have double
The
thread.
hooks will come in the kit,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
but they really shouldn't open their kit with the hooks and things until they're ready to use
Right.
them.
If you're doing the bodice, open the bodice package. And if you're
Yeah.
doing the skirt package, the hat, that kind of thing.
We've
yes.
done enough classes that we know that the people that open up everything all at once to do their inventory always lose their things.
Yes.
And they usually lose it in their own space.
It's easy to do. Okay, I just anchored it down.
So it's
Yes.
in.
And then I'm taking the eye end of the needle, and you know, I
Hold on
can't
a bit.
even. I think maybe it's so that this way you catch threads, and then you just make a loop, pull it, and make another one. And you don't have to go quickly. Try to do it evenly. Sometimes the doubled thread will give you a little trouble, but just go slowly.
And this is something you have to do with double thread, or it wouldn't be,
Nah, I wouldn't.
it wouldn't be strong enough.
Right. And it's also a wonderful skill to have, and well, it's a necessary skill actually, if you're going to sew
For
these
doll
kinds
clothes,
of these kinds of clothes. Yes. Okay, and so
That was so easy.
it is so easy. And let's say I made too large a loop, and you say, "Oh, this is too big." It's not. You see, I have a little bit of. I haven't finished it, and I'm thinking, this is big enough. I don't want it to be that big. Don't worry, just put it through, and tighten
Tuck
it
it,
up. Tighten it up,
And that's probably
it's
makes it
just
stronger.
perfect. And in the back, just bind it off. Now, I just went through, you can see my knot and all that. I would try to hide your knot. Go up under here and hide that knot.
I think that just makes
Yeah,
it more of an
does.
elegant.
Yes,
But we're
yeah.
we're soldiering through
We're
this.
we're soldering through. Okay, so then that was easy. It really is. You can do this very same thing if you have, say you have a button and a loop at the edge. You can make this loop right at the edge and the same way.
And that's a very
And so
decorative.
it's the same skill, and of course, when you do one of these to fit a button, you want to make sure it's not too tight. You can't get it over the button. But again, if you err on the side of it a little bit larger, you can always tighten it and make it fit better. So that's just a little tip. Okay? So that's it for this part of the bodice. Now we're on to the sleeves. And this is a construction that you may not have done before, and it's very effective, and it's not hard, it's easy. But you have two pieces. You have the lining, you're gonna cut the lining out, it's gonna look like this. And then you're going to cut the sleeve part out, which is huge. It's like way too enormous.
It's gigantic.
It's gigantic. This is meant to fit around the doll's arm. So that's why this is the size it is. This is so much bigger, excuse me, I should put it correct side up. This is so much bigger because we want to poof the sleeve, okay? And the first thing you're going to do is do a double row of a running stitch along here. You don't have to match up each stitch like you would on cartridge pleating, but you're going to take it. I mean, it's not a tiny stitch, it's a running stitch, but it's small enough to make nice little gathers on both the top and the bottom.
So those are very relaxing, medium-sized stitches.
Yeah.
Not tiny.
No, not tiny.
And just 2 rows.
2 rows. And I don't know, because of the way I sew, or I'm right-handed or whatever, I have some running this way and some running, one side running this way, that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. So let me pull up the top row. Just pull it along gently, gather it.
And you're just easing it in.
Because it is, you have made these running stitches pretty close to the top. So you don't want to be rough with it. And yeah. Okay, so now you have this top part. This is the top. This is going to match this. So let me face it to myself here. So take the corner of this to the corner, the lining, and pin it. And then take the other side to the other corner and pin it. Okay, and then you want this to match this. So it's just a matter of easing it. And then kind of find the
You're eyeballing
find
it,
the
so-
center. Yes, there's. I don't think there's any math to it or anything. It's. If there is, I'm in trouble.
You know how to.
And then.
You know how to. You know how to gather your sleeves.
Okay. All right, I'll pin it like that. Okay, so you have it pretty much ready to sew. And then you're just going to sew it right on top, right along here. You know, stay just under
You're sewing
this line, just
So that's what,
under
about
it.
a quarter
So
of an inch? Or?
yeah, quarter of an inch. And then this, so you'll sew that, take those pins out, and then go to the bottom. Oh, well, when you're through, I mean, you're sewn down, but I don't like to tie these off until I'm sure everything's sewn, because I don't want anything moving. And then, I don't know, just for good measure, or because, I don't know, I'm compulsive. Then I just tie off these.
Sure, you don't want it coming undone.
Right. And then, yeah, cut them off. Okay, and then you'll do the same for the bottom. Okay, and find that other corner.
This really does make this technique makes a very controlled poof.
Yes.
I mean, it can't not poof.
So it'll always stay poofy.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
It won't slip down the arm.
Right. That's as far as it goes.
Right, that's as far as it goes. So, we have sewn.
I didn't want to leave it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
like
Did you
that
still
poof.
want to? Well, here it is. We have another one. So we've sewn the top, we've sewn the bottom. Take this off for a second. And then you'll find that here.
Yeah, what do you do with that little side
Look at all
piece?
this.
So what do you do with that?
You can, depending on how big it is, take one tuck, two tucks. So I just take a couple of little tucks here.
And I've seen that in Hire outfits, by the way.
Yeah, it's so pretty. There.
So you make that part of the design.
Yes. So it's, and then tack it down.
And there should be no direction to that. They
No, it's just
take
tuck.
take a
Take your
little-
tuck.
However they want to do it.
I'm not measuring it. Yeah, yeah, and then sew it down.
So the whole thing is now sewn down all four corners.
Yes, it's all.
Four sides.
Yep, we're sewn down, and we're poofy. And
Can we
then,
see that on, just fit up to the doll?
Oh,
just
sure.
to see, because I like to.
well, let me take these pins out and I'll just hold it.
Oh yeah, that's so cute.
And when we have the doll on and we have it all done, a little spray with the sizing helps to
Yeah, and then just
kind of
finger pull
finger
it out.
pull it and it'll
and then-
stay
yeah, and then let
beautifully.
it sit
Yes.
and dry.
Yeah.
Super.
Now we're going to put the cuff on the sleeve. And the cuff is this beautiful silk, what do you call China silk? Is it silk?
Taffeta.
Taffeta, soft silk taffeta. This is a sample that I had. The silk that you're going to get is this beautiful French blue that matches this. Okay, so we have to understand this was a sample.
Yeah, it's a
for
little
us.
grayish.
Yes, it's okay.
This is more, vibrant blue that we're going
Right.
to be working with.
But this is good for a sample.
Yeah.
You're going to sew it right sides together, about 1/4 inch. Fold it over and press it, and then leave it, because now we're going to sew the sides. And we have a lot of fabric in here, so you kind of have to mush it a little bit to make sure that you're just sewing this
Sometimes I'll run just a big sloppy basting stitch into something like that
to keep it, hold it. Okay.
Because it saves a lot of frustration. Just 2 or 3 stitches to hold
Right.
it together.
I'm going to fold it this way. Okay, and then pin it. And you're going to stitch all the way across the cuff. So we'll let you do that now, and then we'll come back in a minute. Okay, now we've sewn up the side seam of the sleeve all the way down through the cuff. And now we want to fold the cuff over about 1/4 inch.
So you're sewing the cuff and the side seam together.
Yes.
And that's a very labor saving and better look, isn't it?
It's going to be a better look, much better look. Usually I fold this down about till it meets the edge. And then we're working in a very small space, but and then we want to fold it over again. And just ease it over.
And you just have to work at this. This just doesn't.
Yeah.
This is not.
See,
It just takes manipulation.
Yeah, until you get it right. And see?
Yeah.
So now I've got a nice little cuff. And of course, you'll cast off this seam and then sew this down. Just catching right about there.
Just a tiny bit above the sew line. Mm-hmm. Is that what you?
Yes, and then sew along because you don't want it to show through the other side.
And the nice thing with that silk cuff, it's going to slide right down the arm. I think that really helps.
Yes.
Helps, but yet it's firm enough to kind of stay in place. Well, it can't go anywhere.
It can't really go anywhere.
It's a short little a party dress.
Right. I can kind of go around here a little bit quickly if
So
you
you're
like.
doing
It's just a little slip stitch kind of thing.
little slip stitch.
Yeah.
And you're doing them.
Well, I'm
size.
doing it a little bit big right now, so we can. You can do it a little bit
Those are a nice
smaller.
size.
It's nice.
I mean, it could be smaller, but,
could be
but that's very Headdress-like. They sewed their dresses with what I call a hot needle. They
And they went quickly.
did.
And now, of course, if you want to use blue silk thread, You know,
could.
yes, I'm just using all of this ivory thread so we can see everything
The
and,
contrast.
and a little contrast here. Oh, it's a little big, but I think they get the idea here.
If you hear the typing in the background, that's David.
That's David.
David answering all your questions from our shoppers in the Carmel Doll Shop boutique. So he's got a lot of work getting back to everybody.
Yeah. He's working pretty hard. Okay, this, of course I don't like that. Okay, and like I said, you would cast off that seam and make it look a lot neater.
Would you flatten it out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I would flatten
You'd
it
press that down.
out. Yeah.
Press this down before you fold this up.
Yeah.
Press it. Yeah. Okay, now it's kind of voila. We're gonna turn it inside out, or right
The
side.
moment of truth.
The moment of truth. You have a cute little puff sleeve.
Should we try it on
Sure,
to
let's
see
see.
because we keep saying they need to try as they go, and this is
And then, right.
we can't not. We got to practice what we preach.
Right.
Oh, that's darling. And then when they're doing it in the right blue, it'll be
Oh,
even
the right
more-
blue,
It'll
yes.
be more poppy.
Right.
Pop,
Right.
totally.
Right.
Darling.
Our dress has piping around the armholes and along the neckline in this wonderful contrasting blue silk that will be in your kit. And you may not have made piping before. You cut out a piece. This one is 5 inches long, the neckline. I believe it's 10 inches long, but that'll be on your pattern, by 1 inch wide. And you lay it's just string in here along the top, fold it over about 1/4 of an inch, and sew right along the top. We're not going to pull this to gather it. So if you did catch the cord, in this case, it's not a big deal, but usually you try not to. And you just run a little running stitch right underneath and see how
I've got to move this big girl because
Oh, is she causing shade?
I think she's causing shade.
You can see where this thumb is holding down the fabric right next to the thread. So I see that the thread is there. I know where, the cording, I know where it is.
So your thumb you're using it to guide
Yeah.
and to claim that space.
Yes. And I'm doing this with white thread so you can see.
And then if they should be doing this in the blue.
Yes. Okay, I can cut. Okay, now, so there are two different bias applications. One is at the neckline, one is at the sleeves. When you do the neckline, you're going to keep it like this. And I can show you now why you will keep it like this. Before we go to the sleeve, I can do that while we have it out. Let's see. It's always here.
We have to stop and think.
You always have to stop and think.
It's the opposite way of what we would.
Right, we're thinking, oh, we're going to sew it on like this. No. And you can use this little, about 1/4 of an inch as a guideline for sewing. And you're going to, say, match this edge of this up to the edge of the neckline. And pin it down. And because it's bias, it's going to curve beautifully around the curve of the neckline. I know I switched gears from sleeves to neckline, but we'll go back.
Well, but it's kind of the same concept, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, let me get some thread here. And of course, you're going to go from one edge all the way around to the other edge. And then you would fold the edges down and then we'll fold it over the same way I'm going to show you here where I've pinned. And I hope I'm not being too confusing. Okay. Okay, so now you're just going to come up really next to this. And of course, you know, I don't like the white thread here, but it's easier to see.
Well, that's for the audience to see.
Yes, yeah. And I'm just, again, I can feel the where the cord is. Of course, I'm following this line here, but you can feel the cord too.
And you're staying, your stitching and your thumb, you're staying pretty close.
Yes.
So you're not letting it just hang down. You're keeping it.
Yes.
You're in control.
I'm in control at all times. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to end it here, and then I'll show you how to fold it in the back, and you'll see why we want it. We want to leave it long. So when you've sewn it all around the neckline, you'll fold it over and press it so that it's just showing here.
It's a beautiful.
Just
it's one of my
showing there.
favorite ways of.
It's lovely. It's such a
finishing.
nice touch. Okay. And see, because we had a raw neckline here, so this is the way we're going to finish it off. And fold it. Usually I like to fold it over to that line and then fold it down.
One more time.
One more time. And stitch along here, catching only the lining like we did with the sleeve. And then that finishes off the neckline nicely, and then it looks like that in the front.
And it's so decorative with the contrast of the print and then the solid.
Beautiful, beautiful color. Okay. We're still working with our piping, and I showed you this little sample piece here, and we left it just as is for the neckline, and you saw why that was so. Now, this actually we're going to put into the armhole, and we don't want it this big. This is way too big, so we're going to cut it down. And the reason I don't start out with a smaller piece is because it's just harder to handle while you're sewing this cording in.
To grab onto.
You have something to hold on, right? And so I just cut this off, trim it right to this about 1/4 inch fold here.
And it instantly becomes kind of stronger, doesn't it?
Sure.
Once you take off that.
Take that off, yeah. Okay. And now we've got a nice little piece to put into the armhole. Okay. All right, now we've got our bodice with the empty, we haven't put the sleeve in yet, right? We have to put the piping in first. So what I do, let's see if I can put it around. So I'll usually start at the center seam, and you're going to
Center seam for back.
this actually is a center. Back, yes,
Back,
center,
okay.
yes, side. Actually, it's a
it's side
side
seam.
because we have these three.
Underarm
Underarm,
almost.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's actually, as simple as this is, there's quite a few pieces to the bodice.
Yes, yeah. The bodice has, a lot of pieces to it, but, okay. And then you just lay it up to make each edge match up to the other one. Okay, and I'm leaving a little bit here.
For your overlap?
Yeah. And then, again, I'll pin it right here. You can, of course you can pin this, but I think it's such a small area, the pins, you know, they prick you, they're in the way.
It's easier to do it.
Right. It's easier just to hold it. Okay. And then just the way we did the neckline, we'll do this. I just took a little back stitch and sew along again. And just remember, there's a little tail. Okay. And you just keep this even here, and it's like a little guide.
And of course, they'd be doing this in
blue. Yes.
We're doing this so that you can see.
I mean, if you don't have any blue, you could use some other darker color. And as you saw in the neckline, it won't show from the outside. But
isn't this probably one of the most complicated things with doing this costume, is doing the piping?
Yes, I think it is.
But I mean, I find it to be kind of relaxing, but
oh, it's easy once you do it and you get the
hang of it.
Right.
And it's an application that can be used on 1,000 different costumes.
Yes. And even your plainest dress, your plainest costume, put this piping on it, it's going to look so luxurious. And correct, too. Not everything had piping.
Oh, no. No.
But sometimes it's the perfect thing. Okay, we're coming around to the end here.
You're doing that pretty fast.
Yeah. And then I crisscross it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just sort of,
And then
you know, there's just a little overlap there.
And when we flip that over, it'll go away.
Yeah, pretty much. And see, I just go over that. And I pick that up so I've got everything down. Of course, with white thread again. And then just tie it off.
And you're using a pretty small needle for this.
Well, I think this might be a 10. I had a 10, yeah, I think these are 10 embroidery needles. But you see, I need a kind of a big eye.
Me too.
Just to give my life, make things easier. Okay.
Well, you know, I have sewing assistants, and they're younger than me, and that sometimes they, make fun of it.
Well, they can.
But you know what? Here's the thing: is then I make them thread all my needles for me.
Yes, but they can do it from across the room. So
they can.
Okay, so I'm going to cut this off. We don't need that, and we don't need all of this here, and I just cut that off right there. It's kind of even. All right, then we just flip it. And then you have nice piping all the way around.
Gorgeous.
And then press this in so that it stays nicely.
And then we're going to do a overcast stitch to hold it back.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so you just leave
Nope.
that? Mm-hmm. Oh, because you're gonna do, we've got one more step.
I'm gonna put the sleeve in.
Okay.
I'm gonna set the sleeve in. Yeah.
And that'll hold the whole thing
So-
together, won't it?
Yeah. So here's our sleeve.
And it looks like you did a little quickie, put
I
the
did.
lace on.
I to put a little lace on the bottom.
So the lace, how, you just put it right at the edge? Is
Yes, right at the edge.
Let's
Pick up a teeny bit of the silk and a teeny bit of this little edge here. We didn't know what to call it last time we were talking about that.
The
But
ridge.
You can see this. Yes, you'll see it on all
If you're
lace.
a lace person out there and you know what the term is,
let us know.
please put it in the comment. We appreciate.
Because it has a name. It has to have a name,
It has
right?
to have a name.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a good feeling for, I think I have a good feeling for lace and where it comes, the era and how to use it on a garment. But I don't have that intellectual knowledge that a lot of people that are passionate about lace.
Oh, of course.
I could never make lace. It would, to me, I think those people are just geniuses that can sit
And make lace.
and make lace.
Tat, right?
Yeah, they can. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Well, there's even a lace museum up here.
There
A
is.
whole
There
museum
is.
full of lace. Okay, we're going to set the sleeve in. And I've just sort of folded it here just so as a guide. The bottom, that seam we sewed is down here. The top is up here. And just kind of fit it in here. And since I have the top. And again, you're going to pin it. And if it's not good enough the first, just keep adjusting till you get it the way you want it. Usually pin the top, and then I kind of go around. See, I like to see how it fits, and don't be afraid to kind of work with it.
I think it's fitting in there perfectly.
And just make sure that it's all even. Isn't it fun when things fit just right?
It is, but that had to do with planning.
Okay, so we're going to sew a little running stitch around here, and I'll just start it and show you. Okay. I mean, you can start anywhere, but I'm going to start here where we can see it.
And you're feeling as you go.
Right,
you're
you can
feeling the piping.
See this, you can feel it, you can see it, the little piece here. And what you want to do is not sew on this side because you'll hide it. So make sure you're sewing on this side of it, okay? And just, again, feel it and go close to it.
So you're going away from it. Away from the
Yes, right.
round shape.
So we have the sleeve set in now and sewn around the piping. Then what I do is just kind of trim off some of this extra little fuzz here. And then you're going to overcast this so that it looks very neat. And then turn it right side out.
And it's always a mystery.
And you have piping around the sleeve.
Well, that turned out really nice, Denise. I mean, look at how elegant that looks. I mean, I only wish the cuff had the
I know.
coordinating, but
We'll see the
we'll
finished finished dress, and then you'll arrange that when we finish.
No, that's a beautiful little sleeve.
And you can make a bigger puff, or you can make different sizes just by resizing the pattern as well.
And will they have enough material that they could,
I think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
yeah.
they could play with that?
Because we're not cutting these out, and that gives them a little wiggle room.
Okay.
We'll give them enough fabric.
Lovely. Okay, next step.
Okay, we finished the bodice, we've set in the sleeves, we've done the piping, we've piped the neckline. You can add a little bit of lace to the edge of the cuff, a little bit of lace to the neckline, which just gives it a cute little, pretty little accessory there.
And that will be in their kit?
That will be in the kit, yes, as well. Now the skirt is, this fabric, this fabulous fabric, comes in a width of 44 inches. And which is selvage to selvage. When I constructed the dress, I did use all of that fabric. I used the whole width. And it's nice because you have this finished selvage edge and it just looks very neat in the back. And they did do that a lot with the 19th century Hure clothes. They may not have been 44 inches. Usually I think about 40 inches. If you want to cut it down, if you don't want that much volume, feel free to cut it back to maybe 40 inches. It's what you want. I have used all 44. Now when we make the skirt, the dresses and skirts for the Hures dip down a little bit in the front. Well, actually, the back was what dipped down in their dresses. So when they sat, the dress came over their knees. It lay right, lay correctly. And an easy way to do that is to fold your fabric in half after you've cut out this big rectangle, and then fold it in half again. Okay, you've got it in four pieces. And press it. Okay, so you have a nice press line. Then open it up and take a ruler, measure a 1/2 inch from the edge up to this seam line, fold line, yes, as if it were a seam. Up to this fold line, draw a line, and then cut it out. So
basically, when their skirt would be shorter in the front than it is in the back.
And longer in the back, yes.
But it's really very slight, isn't it?
It's just slight. It's not a lot.
It makes all the difference.
But by taking this off the top, you've left the bottom hemline straight. And then it is easier to your hem. And open it up. And while it's nice and flat, I like to press this down 1/2 inch on the top. Just work this little dip right in there, 1/2 inch on the top.
Throughout the whole thing?
Yes. Then on the bottom, which is going to be the hem, I like to press just a 1/4 inch and have that nice little pressed line, 1/4 inch.
Just one over?
Yes, just one over.
For now?
For now. And then you're going to press up 2 inches.
And that's going to give you a nice weighty
Hem.
hem.
Yep. And then you will, with a nice little blind little stitch, sew down the hem.
You're going to do your... And what color thread would you recommend they do that in?
The ivory thread.
Ivory,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can use ivory throughout except for those
The blue.
the blue bias pieces where you're sewing directly on it.
Well, shall we iron this and come on back?
Let's iron it and come back.
Okay.
We've cut out our skirt piece, which is just a big rectangle. And we've cut out that little dip in the front. And we've folded over and pressed about 1/2 inch from the bottom. We also pressed a little 1/4 of an inch and then up 2 inches. And then we're going to hem the skirt, the hemline, but start about 3 or 4 inches from one end, whichever end you're starting, and as well, you're going to end about 3 or 4 inches from the edge.
So you're leaving that unfinished?
Yes,
That's just
for right now.
flopping around.
Right. And one thing about cutting skirts out, you know, we don't give you a piece of paper as a pattern generally. We say cut it out, you know, 10 inches by whatever, however large the skirt is. And then you think, well, am I cutting straight? If I'm cutting, especially this one is 44 inches, am I cutting straight across? And everything changed for me when I discovered rotary cutters and the cutting mat. This is from I know from quilters. They have the rotary cutters, they have the cutting mat, and they have these wonderful rulers with all the measurements that you can see running throughout. And that's what I do. Now 44 inches is very long, so fold it in half to 22. And press it all out nice and flat, line it up on your cutting mat, place the ruler as however many inches it calls for, and then you can cut straight across with the rotary cutter, and it's perfect.
And if
You've
you
got
don't-
nice even lines.
If you don't have a rotary cutter and a mat, run out and get one.
I recommend it. It saves so much trouble. Okay.
So Denise, and this is an area too that they should be again careful which way their birds are going.
There we go.
We're looking at
Yes.
them upside down, but
Well,
there
let me
is-
turn it right side. Correct.
You don't want to do all that work and then have your birds be flopping out of the trees.
Right. Falling out. Yes. Okay. So now we want to do the side seam. Or the back seam, excuse me. The back seam, actually. And usually I will, just sort of get this even, pin it a little even. And we want to go down about 3 inches or so to leave an opening in the back of the skirt so we can get it on the doll, on and off. Okay.
And that'll be marked on the pattern.
Yes. And then let's get this. And we're going to open this up. Okay, just everything, even whatever you've pressed, that little edge, open it all up. Kind of even it out and pin it. And then you will sew, you will start here. This pin is just to keep it closed, but you'll start the back seam from here, back stitch, and then sew all the way down through to the end right here, about 1/4 of an inch.
So you're going to sew you're going to leave a 3-inch opening at the top, which will be marked on their pattern, and then you're going to start from 3 inches down, go all the way to the
And you'll have
to the end.
the back seam, yes.
All right, shall we
So-
let them do that, and
Yes.
then we'll come back?
Okay. So we've sewn the back seam together from the point 3 inches down from the top right through to the bottom, and you will overcast that very nicely and neatly. Then you have all this here. So why is this open? Well, you're going to flip it, press it first, flip it, and this way you'll have a nice seam at the back. It won't look open like this. It'll be nicely closed.
And it gives it a nice weight
Nice
too,
weight,
doesn't it?
nice
That
finish.
classic Hurray treatment. Now again, this is something they could do with the machine if they wanted to.
The hemming.
Not
No,
the hemming,
the side
the
seam,
side
the
seams.
long seams we call it, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so then you will sew this from where you started to where you
That they should
ended.
do by hand.
Yes, this by hand. Okay. Then we have this top area to finish off. I'm going to turn it. And this is going to be the back opening. Turn it over about 1/4 of an inch twice. And pin it. And again, just kind of straighten it out. Now we'll put one here. Put a pin here too. And then down at the bottom here. And do it on the other side as well. Let me just turn this around towards me.
I mean, this can be done in a few hours.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a pretty, right here, this is a typical skirt.
This is a fabric that's going to age beautifully too.
Oh, yeah. Let me just get this down a little bit more here. Pin it. So then you're going to do a little blind stitch right along the edge. When you get to here, just what I do is I'll knot it off here, go across, don't cut it, you don't have to cut it, just go across through, it's not showing on the other side, through, and start again right here, and then continue right up to here.
Shall I watch you sew that?
Do you want to?
Okay.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Everybody do your thing.
We're now ready to do the cartridge pleating at the top of the skirt. But first, before we do that, I think we need to talk about the importance of pressing. Need to get into the habit of pressing after every step. You sew a seam, you press it. Sew a seam, press it. And also get in the habit of casting off those seams and making them neat, and that'll just make all the difference to your dress. The dress won't lie right or lay right and fit right if you aren't pressing, and I think sometimes that's what makes the difference between a dress that looks terrific and one that looks so-so. Another thing,
and we don't want so-so.
We don't want so-so around here. We don't do so-so, no. Another thing just to put in there, you can see that I've got a very small piece of fabric. This skirt is very narrow. Yours is wider. I'm just working with a sample. And, we don't want to use up all the fabric, and we want these fine people to be able to buy all the fabric. So we're using samples. I'm using what was left over. Okay, let's turn this inside out. And sorry to throw it around. We've got the back, the facing, the placket sewn down, and we had already folded this over 1/2 inch. And you can see why I like doing it while the fabric is flat. It's already there. You don't have to worry about it again. Okay, now cartridge pleating was done so that you could get 44 inches of fabric into about 7 or 7.5 inches of waist. So what we do is we sew 2 double rows of running stitches. The first one you start about, I got a 1/16 inch from the top, and the other one about an 1/8 inch down from that. And you'll start right at the placket. And maybe your stitches are about 1/4 of an inch long. And make them as even as you possibly can.
I mean, isn't this, even is very important in this application?
It really is, yes. And I'm guiding, when I push until I sort of can't go anymore, I know I've done that 1/4 of an inch. And I think it's just a feel that you get. Just
something to
practice, yes.
I mean, before you start on your ultimate fabric, practice on some cheap fabric.
Right.
Your husband's old shirt, or something.
Well, we all have scrap fabric or muslin, or we have something that we can.
I can see it coming alive. And I also noticed that you use your index finger and you kind of pull it when you pull it back, right? You just did it right there. Yes, and you kind of use it. You're almost like you are a sewing machine. It's like a foot on a sewing machine.
And after a while, you have about all you can fit.
You've done it with you've made it with just one thread, but you have to do it with 2.
Yes, you do. And because your fabric, it's a pretty wide skirt, as most of them were for Headdress. You may want to do your running stitches halfway, stop, and then begin again on the other side and do them that way, and then just pull and pull. Some people do it that way. I tend to take a humongous length of thread.
Well, you're used to doing it, but you do, if it breaks, then you have to do it again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. Well, yes, and if it breaks right here, don't take it all out. Just leave a tail and start again, and you can always pull
it in.
Pull those in. Yes.
Shall we let them do this sewing?
Let's
and then
let
come
them,
back?
and then we'll come back and do the second row.
Okay, we'll be back.
Okay. And we've gotten the first row in, and now we'll start on this all-important second row. And what you want to do is keep these stitches even. Follow as closely as you can to the ones you did up above. And
I think this is the most important part of doing these cartridge pleats, don't you?
yes, you need even pleats when we attach this to the bodice, and we'll see that in a little while. If you just had one row of stitching, it would be a very flimsy little pleat that you'd be trying to sew to the bodice.
And it would be.
I mean, you
it
can
would
even
get
see
puckery.
you can see right now
It's starting to line
how
up.
they'll be.
It's almost like Venetian blinds, isn't it?
Oh yes, kind of fold up on each other.
Mhm. Those are nice and even.
Pretty even. Try to. Oops.
This is a fabric that lends itself really nicely to.
Oh, yeah. And it is a pleasure sewing with a cotton fabric.
Shall we let them finish their piece?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be
We'll
back.
be back. So we've put the 2 rows of thread into the top part of the skirt, and now we can pull it. Okay, I'm going to turn this right side out, and I've got tons of thread here that I'm not going to need. And now, and remember, this is just a sample size. Yours will be
Much bigger.
much bigger. I'm going to cut off a lot of this, but let's still leave us a decent tail there. Now this bodice piece that we did is right size, but let's attach this, and at least we can see how it's done. Okay. And I'll usually start from one end and match up the side of this to the side of that right at the edge.
I don't know that there's a term for this, but I call it a hanging skirt.
Oh.
Do you have a term for it?
No, I don't have a term for it.
Because there's no, it is basically going to be hanging, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Hanging by a thread.
Right. And we're joining the side of the skirt to the side of the bodice and pinning right here. It's a little thick. And now, of course, this is too short for this bodice, but we're going to just pin it, and I'll show you how to do the cartridge, the sewing of the cartridge pleating. On the full size, you would put this edge to this edge, and then you would just ease these pleats so that it
open your Venetian blind.
Yes, it fills this whole edge of the bodice. Okay. All right. But we'll pretend that that's what we did here. Okay, and I'm just going to pin this over here.
Now, design-wise, we have a wonderful treatment for the waist, but could they, if they wanted to use your pattern to do a variation of it, could they pipe the waistline too?
Yes, and in fact, you could make a little waistband.
With piping?
You could pipe it and then do this, yes. Or you could make a whole waistband, I'm just saying. But as far as the piping, yes, absolutely.
For what we're doing, you wouldn't want, the piping wouldn't be good because it's going to have a wonderful waistband.
Well, we're going to have a little belt.
Bulker up.
On, yes, belt. Okay. So then just find the center of the bodice and pin. And pin again as many times as you need to hold it down.
And there's no right way or wrong way to put a pin in.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's kind of look. All right. And I still keep this thread in. I don't tie it off until the very end, just in case something happens. I don't really want to lose all of these pleats. So I just start at the very, very edge.
And there's no magic to the stitch. It's just
No, you're just going
straight across.
through.
And you're picking up what in the center of a pleat?
Well, it's not a pleat yet. This is just that placket.
Oh, okay. We haven't gotten
And
into
the side, right,
goodies
the good
yet.
part yet. The side, yes. But I am getting the twill tape and the fabric on both sides. And you just have to do this a little bit until you come to an actual pleat. And then we've pretty much come to it.
You're in now.
Yeah, now we're in. Okay, so it's going up and down and up and down. We're going to attach the skirt to the bodice with these ones that are going down and are
folded in.
closest to.
Okay, so they're the ones you pick up.
Yes, and I'm picking up twill, a little bit of the bodice fabric, and a little bit of the skirt.
And it's really important to get this right.
And I think some people only take the twill and the skirt, the cartridge pleating.
You like to
I've asked people, and more people said no, take both.
yeah, and I think it's what you're comfortable with.
Well, to me,
There's no manual
it
that
makes
says how to do this.
sense that, okay, we want to attach the bodice to the skirt. Okay, well, if we just do that, we have no twill tape, it's going, the skirt is going to pull on the bodice, and it could distort it after a while. So I think the twill tape is there for strength,
Absolutely.
not there on its own. To my way of thinking, that you take both. And when you see
You always see them sewn through.
the older, yes.
And this is the twill tape is very important because to the Headdress company, that's where they put their marks in a lot of garments.
That's right.
That's where you
That's
see
where
it.
that's where they stamp them, either
Yeah,
the
little
center
tiny-
or the side.
Little tiny stamp.
Right,
that-
right. Maybe we can get our own little stamps, huh?
It would be a tiny little stamp.
Okay, now I'm looking for this one because it kind of fell down. And that's it, to just, go slowly. And if you do drop one of these, when you look at it from the front when you're done, just pick it up. Take another,
And that's where you'll have.
another stitch.
I find that's where I have an uneven hem in something like this is where I've just dropped a couple of stitches and the gravity pulls it down and so you just go in and
Just go in and pick
tack
it up. You probably could have done it there. Let's see.
So you try to get just one of the pleats. You don't pick a couple at a time. You just do one.
Oh, no one.
One.
Yeah. And you can see that here, maybe because of the way it's pressed, there's a little bit more bodice showing, fabric showing here than say here. And so I'm trying to compensate by not going straight through like that, but by picking up some twill and then picking up the very edge of the bodice before I go into the pleat. And let's see, let's take that out. I'm going to just kind of repin this.
Well, shall we let them sew their They're 44 inches.
They're 44 inches.
Into 7.5. Yeah. We'll be back.
I will be back. So we've done our cartridge pleating, and this is how it looks. And then you will press it flat.
And I'd press it right at the edge. Is that what you would
Yes,
do?
yes.
Just right in
Just here, not flat like this.
No,
just
'cause
with
you
the
want it fluffy.
with the point of the iron, probably is good. Yes, just you want this
Those are
down.
beautiful, Denise.
No, thank you.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I mean, that's nice and tight, and that is a lot of volume.
That's a lot. It is
of fabric into a very small place.
right.
And that's what you can do with this technique, which really could be used over and over again and many,
Over
many.
and over again, all the time. Actually,
All right, so we will be moving on.
moving on. Well, we're not through with our skirt because now we're putting a ruffle around the bottom. And we don't want a ruffle that is going to look like you're going to go square dancing, right? So what we're going
She might like
she
to
might
go-
like to. You never know. That could be the next kit,
Yeah.
square dancing kit. So since I used 44 inches of the skirt length, I'm going to do 1.5 times the length for the ruffle, which would be 66. Now, in order to get that, we don't have, it's not that wide. So we have to piece pieces of fabric together in order to make a long enough piece of fabric for our ruffle.
Because we really want it to be in one piece when you apply it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, how to piece something together. You're going to take the fabric, put right sides together,
At an angle like that.
leaving. It looks strange, but you leave a little bit up here, a little bit down there. It doesn't really matter. I've left about 1/4 inch, and then I took a ruler and drew from corner to corner so that when I'm sewing this down, I'm not weaving around. And then you can also, let me pin it this way, you can also check, just fold it where it's going to be seamed, and you know that we're all going in the right direction. This part isn't upside down, you know.
It's a great way to connect two pieces of fabric, really,
Yes.
in a flounce. And you can also use this when you're doing piping.
Well,
You're doing,
yes, for attaching bias strips. And
yeah.
yes, it's this exact same thing.
And this is a
Exact
classic
same
thing that upholsterers use.
Well, they do a lot of bias piping.
Absolutely, and piping
all
of
that.
cushions and things.
Yes.
I know that because in the other room, the person typing is also an upholsterer.
He sure is.
Yeah.
He does gorgeous work. Everything is completely even here. So just so.
I mean, don't you feel really lucky that he's not the one filming this, because he'd be telling you how to do it. Tells me.
I wonder if he's listening.
Probably.
He's ignoring. Yes, he's working hard.
And you just drew that on with your.
Well, I
Your
just
friction pin.
yes. And actually, to tell you the truth, I don't know if this was friction or
Uh-oh.
regular. Well, because this is the sample, and I want to make sure that people could see it. But yes, do the friction and then just press it, and it'll go right away.
And when you're working with those pins, you need to take all your other pins out of the room.
Please.
Put them somewhere else, because it's so easy to grab a regular pin and
You're right.
you've messed up your.
And they look just like a regular pen. Okay. So then you've got something that looks like this.
I always
or
love
like
that.
this.
I always love that.
Whichever way you want to
If
go.
they're really ambitious, they could actually match the pattern up perfectly.
Oh, you
It just
could, right.
Takes a little thought.
Right. And
to
then-
do that. But it's not going to show if you.
It really,
I shouldn't have
these,
said that because now our
They're
type
gonna-
A's are
and fold it, actually you can fold it back either way, and then there's going to be a little bit left over, and then just cut that off. There, okay, and then of course you would press it. Okay, and now look how much longer we have. And then you just keep going.
This is the full size.
Oops,
here.
excuse
Or
me,
is
I
this
didn't
a
do.
sample size?
This is sample size. I didn't do one other step, excuse me. Just cut this to about 1/4 inch. You don't need all that bulk, of course. I got too excited. Okay, there you go. And then you've just got a little bit.
And then once it's ruffled in.
And you
it
know,
will-
when you do this, I think that this is why, when you fold it up like this, you only have this much bulk on either side.
it's very
If
little.
you didn't, well, you'd have like a quadruple
Yeah.
bump here. So it really is nice. Now, we've cut out our ruffle piece, and we're going to edge it with 1-inch strips of the blue silk cut straight of grain. And this part,
Not bound, not binding, or not.
not bias.
Not bias.
No,
yes.
not bias. It's just straight on the grain, cut straight. And then what the beauty of this is, we're going to sew this by machine.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to send it upstairs and let them sew it, and we'll have a cup of coffee and we'll be
Ooh,
back.
sounds good. So we've sewn these strips of blue silk to the edges of the ruffle, top and bottom. And then you will, we'll see over here, see, you've sewn it about 1/4 inch down. And look, we're by machine, lovely, easy. Then press it down, then fold it over twice.
And that makes a nice sharp.
Yep. And
It's basically like a
And it's-
bound edge.
I guess, yes, a bound
Yeah.
edge. We've got threads all over here. And then what I did that was
And
made
then
it
you
very,
overcast the-
very easy, yes. And getting this down, because we only have one layer of fabric here, right? And we don't want to go through and show on the back on the other side. I came up through this sewing machine stitch.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So about every
you can follow that
every
stitch.
third one,
And those are small.
they're very tiny,
Sewing
but effective. Nothing's going to come apart. So I just wanted to kind of show that. To me, that's like, oh, a little trick that works.
And again, this application can be used on many different garments.
Yes. That way. No, I can't see right. I think all of the things that they're going to learn with these kits can be applied so many different ways. And they're getting wonderful pattern pieces from all of the kits.
And honestly, I think that
And,
a lot of these pattern pieces within each designer can be, you know, they could, I mean, you could certainly use Deborah's jacket pattern with this costume and just do it as a summer jacket,
Absolutely.
you know, without the lining and all the, and vice versa.
And you mix and match patterns. And which is what they did too in the
Absolutely.
old days. Okay, we're gonna be done. Oops. There.
Don't run with scissors.
Yes. Don't run. Okay. So we've done that side. And then you'll press it. And then the other side is the top edge. And so what we want to do here is do a little running stitch right along the edge of this binding.
And you can see your stitches there,
Well, yes, and
and there's a reason for that.
yes. Okay, and I'm going as close, let's see if we can see, as I can here. And they're not teeny tiny stitches or huge basting stitches, or kind of medium length. Oh, look what I did. Okay.
That's your first knot of the day. Hey,
No, not really.
I think that's
Can we
the
say
first one.
Can we say cut? No. I'm only kidding. We'll see, but this
This shows
you know,
that, you know, even
this
people
is
that are highly
real
seasoned,
life.
this is real.
This is real, and this is when we swear and have bloopers.
Well, we usually cut those out, but it would be next
It would
next
be
time we'll
fine.
just
It
put
would
them
be
all
f-
together,
We should look at this.
and then we'll be in Facebook
Can I say?
jail.
Oh well, that's all right. Okay, you know what? This is a sample.
This is a sample.
And here we go. All
This is
right.
a sample.
We're
The rest of it's great.
Okay, we're not BSing anybody, are we? All right. And so we want a gentle little ruffle to go around the skirt. So what you can do, because this is such a long piece, divide it into quarters. Say the front, the back, and each side piece.
Equal parts.
Evenly, yes, equal parts. And then gather up and gently.
And you just work it and
You
work
just
it
work it right.
until you get it really pretty and
Kind of, yeah.
ruffly and. But I think doing it in the equal parts is the
That's
is
a
the
good-
key
that's a good
to
idea.
keep it from
Getting away from you, kind of?
yeah,
or,
where you have
know?
a big lump of it somewhere. And so when they attach this to the skirt, where are they going to sew? Are they going to sew in this little kind of ditch where
Yes,
you've
in
already
the, where I've already,
wow, you already
yes.
shown.
Now, if I hadn't cut this thread, I would have tied this off here. I would have knotted that up there.
And they'll need to do that too as they go along with their quartering.
Yes. So here's our other skirt sample. Maybe I can get the front of it a little better. Here we go. And then you want to put the ruffle, you want the edge of this to come to
Just
the
right
edge
there.
of that, yes.
Because they might want to change the length of these patterns to fit
oh,
their
yeah.
doll. So, but that's where you suggest that this goes.
Yes, yes. And then you'll sew, pin it all around, and then sew right in close to the edge there
So
again.
right in that edge.
Yes.
So with the magic of television,
Ta-da.
we will show you what it's supposed to look like on a finished garment. So Denise, I think that since we're on to something new, we're on to the kind of the fun part, aren't we?
Yes,
All right,
kind of the magic.
we'll be back.
So to finish our dress off, we want to decorate with some bows. Now, often, we have gorgeous fabric, we have the color we want, and we think, we want ribbon to match. You can't always find ribbon to match either the right kind of ribbon or the right color. So we're gonna make our own. And in the kit, you're going to get the silk fabric with instructions on how to make this channel that I have right here. Okay. across the shoulders, we're going to put a little, here, let me do this one, a little bow, a little streamer, I guess you call it, or a bow epaulette. Take this 5-inch piece of the channeling, take it in the middle and twist it as though, you know, like it's a Hershey's Kiss, right in the center. And then we're going to take a bit of thread and tack it down.
You can do it.
Yes, we can do it. Okay, and we're just tacking it down. It's not anything exact. All right, we just want to hold it in place. Let's see. I think I did well enough. Okay. Now we're going to take this little 1/2 inch piece of the channeling, and we're going to fold it this way. And then we're going to fold it that way, and we're going to make a little scrunchy thing in the middle like this. We want it to be scrunchy and poofy. We're going to place that right over the center of this little epaulette. And you're going to have to do a lot of holding with your fingers
This is when
in
you
place.
manipulate it. With
And see, I'm still holding on to it right. And then what I want to do is sew it again and hold it this end in place. See, now that we have, turn it over, see what we've got back here. See, we have a little scrunched up
yes, it's very
little
Victorian.
kind of knot.
Totally Victorian.
Okay. And hold on to it. And then we've got it in the back too. And if you can, kind of fold it under a little bit. It's easier to tack down, I think. Let's see. We're getting
You
too
can make it a double bow if you want.
enthusiastic.
You can make it a double bow. Why not?
Okay.
There's really nothing to that, is there?
No, not really.
But it has to have that je ne sais quoi,
Yes.
that certain chicness.
And the thing about it is, if you don't quite have it, manipulate it again and until you do. And there's no exact shape it has to be. You're just kind of futzing with it.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do it in a different way, they can do it.
I kind of want to draw this up a little bit. I've got a little thread here, but
We'll get rid of that.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that. So we've got a little knot here. And again, with the white thread. Okay. This is going to lie over the shoulder. But we're still not through. We still don't quite think it's right. So we're going to make a little fringe.
Self-fringe.
Self-fringe.
I mean, we can't say that that it doesn't match the fringe.
Right. Oh, you know what? he did this on the selvage for us. So we're just gonna cut that a little bit, okay? There we go. And you just keep teasing it out little by little.
It'll come out.
It'll come.
This is normally something you don't want to have happen, is it unravel.
Right.
You just have to pick at it. But I think, don't you agree, you can't really force it or you'll
No, you can't take too much. Really only a thread or two
add it
at the
yeah,
most,
I
yes.
think you're right, two would be the maximum.
And how much of a fringe is up to you. I took a little there. It almost looks like it's not going to work, but it does.
Well, this is a technique that you see on a lot of brew costumes,
Ooh, yeah.
chameau costumes.
Oh, beautiful bébés.
Yeah, beautiful bébés. I mean, it was used in a lot of dressmaking in the 19th century.
And so
There you go.
you'll do it on the other side as well.
That looks lovely.
Okay. And this we're going to sit right across the shoulder, like that.
Well, shall we show them on?
Let's show.
Let's show. So here is how it will look on the shoulder. So where do you say to place that, Denise?
It's a little forward of the shoulder seam.
So just a smidge.
Just a smidge forward.
But it makes a really cute look.
And also you could, fiddle with it, place it, see how you like it. You might like it like this, you might like it like that. That's
Well, if you do either way, you do that. I mean, if you push it forward and then maybe just tack it down, then you get to see the nice piped
the pipe, yeah.
on the
arms,
arms.
yeah.
Okay, that was fun. So everyone go make your bows.
make your
We'll be back.
Okay, so the last thing we need to complete our costume is a belt. The belt is fabric and lining cut out. The instructions will be on the pattern, and you will bind the top and the bottom edge of the belt exactly the way you bound the ruffle, except you're not going to ruffle it. It's just going to be straight on the top.
So it's
and
a
bottom.
miniature version.
It's a little miniature version.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any filler in it at all, or is it just the cotton?
It's just the cotton.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So we've mastered that
We've
already.
mastered that, yes. And on the waistband, we want to put a bow in the back. And we're taking that.
Fun part.
Yes. And we're going to make a channel again, only this time it's bigger. Okay? And we're going to take it about in the center and twist it again, like our little Hershey's Kiss. Twist it over. How's that?
That's beautiful.
There we go. Okay. Pretty center. And then again, take a little stitch through there.
And they have to just feel this. This is something that you can't
Yes.
really put in writing as instructions.
Which is kind of fun to,
It's fun, and they can do it maybe the way
manipulate.
they want to do it.
and maybe they've done it before in a certain way, which is fine. Come on.
That's a
There
lot
we
of
go.
silk you're
It's-
getting into.
And, you know, we're sewing this down because we don't have 4 hands, so, okay.
I mean, I would love for someone to come up with some ribbon that would be silky like this. Wouldn't that be just amazing?
Look at it, the sheen.
The sheen.
Wow. Okay, and then you're going to have, you're going to have another piece of that same channeling. So when you make it, you're going to cut for the bow and cut for a piece for the middle of the bow. And of course we want this to be poofy again, just like the little bow epaulets. And so just kind of fold it maybe one way this way.
Freehand.
Yep, and then maybe the opposite way on this side.
Which will create that kind of explosion.
And you kind of,
oh, that's beautiful.
let's see. So you have something kind of
Oh, yeah.
like that. Free form. Okay, I'm going to put this around. You're happy with it? And it's not graceful sewing. It's just,
No, but it's the artistic
just-
part. It's
yeah.
what makes the... You would be surprised, Denise, that it's these kinds of things are more challenging for a lot of people than the you know,
the more precise
Yes.
stuff and
because this requires some, you know, artistic freedom,
well, which is nice, isn't it?
and it will make the costume.
All right. Let's see what we did here.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And again, once again, we just want to make fringe.
And this fringe I've noticed on the done sample, this has got some length to it. So
This does.
this is some busy work.
Yes, you're right.
You might want to take this outside and do it outside because you'll have
Oh, it's all
little
over,
threads.
right? Well, you need one of those little sticky things, sticky
Yeah.
roller things at the end. And this is, I mean, it's been cut a little bit crooked, but you can always straighten that out.
So you just work it until
Just
you make
keep
some.
working
It's
it.
getting fringy.
It's getting fringy, isn't that pretty?
It is. Well, I love it because you know I like my colors to match. So there's no
Yes.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts
No.
about that.
No.
So you're at about a half an inch now, aren't you?
Yeah,
So you're going to go the full inch?
I am. I think we need to.
I mean, they can do it as
Yeah. However they like it.
I mean, what you've done with the sleeve decoration, it's the right scale for her her size. So
Yes.
everybody can decide that.
Right,
How
when
much
it's
they
on
want a
their doll.
fringe.
Yes. Because that would have been up to the person sewing.
This is a great technique to also to use for hats, to put on hats. Well, I guess we're going to do something like that.
We're going to do
We're
exactly
heading that
that.
direction.
Yes, we are.
Some nice fringe.
I might be going a little quickly here, but just take your time. Let's see, what have we got? How's that looking?
That looks pretty darn good.
Not bad, huh?
That looks pretty nice. I mean, when you see it next to that, it's a beautiful finish to that. Shall we show them
Let's show them.
the belt on?
Yes.
So this is what you should be doing for the front of your belt, right?
Yes.
That's what they've already learned.
They've already
the
learned
binding.
that binding a strip of
So
fabric.
they've learned that. That's it's lovely, and it just does a nice thing to her waist. Gives a nice definition. That's beautiful. And I love this. It's like a little cushion she has in the back. Just turns out really wonderful. And you know what? I don't think that we could find ribbon that would match
I don't
as
think so.
well.
And how would you find narrow ribbon and wider ribbon that match too?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. This is the only way to fly.
and I can undo this just to show them
Absolutely.
the closure. So here we have our belt. And we have two little hooks on one end and two little loops matching on the other. And you will make this separately, fit it to her, and put the hooks and loops on, fit it to her, right? And then put the bow that you just made onto the back. Sew it onto the back. I do it right next to the end here.
Perfect. So I mean, it's basically the same concept as the ruffle,
Yes.
just miniaturized.
Yes.
And of course, they'll have all the measurements in
Well, yes.
the kit. All right, so now we're on to something new.
Well, yes. So we all know that the woman's hair is her crowning glory, but we want to put something on top of that just to top it off. And we have made this sweet little Juliet headdress to complete this outfit. And you can see how sparkly these flowers are, and kind of luxurious and very kind of exuberant. And of course we have the same, our little manufactured ribbon on it as well. So
And even though it's fancy, it frames the face, which I think is really
Yes.
lovely.
Yes.
Okay, should we
All
start?
right, we can start. We're going to start with some 18 gauge wire, which will be in your kits. Okay, in your kit. And there will also be on the pattern a little diagram, a little shape to illustration to copy. It's going to take one piece of wire and then one other one to come across here. And you're going to bend the first piece, twist it at one end, see it's bent around, twist it, and then take the other one and twist it at each end as well. You can see I have this little...
It doesn't matter if you're
triple.
not a silversmith. It's because it's going to be covered with goodies.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is. And if you have little bumps in it, that's fine. And these knots, these things over here, no problem. Say, this is not exact. Okay, so there we want to cover it with the ribbon that we've made. Again, here's the same channel with our fabric, our nice blue silk. Okay, now we're going to leave, as we saw with the hat, with the, before, we've got some little side pieces sticking out here. So we're going to start with that sticking out, just like this. Right at the edge, oh, you know, 1.5 inches or so. And then you just...
Because you have to fringe it.
We have to fringe it.
So you have to leave enough to fringe.
And we're just going to go over it. I'm going to go around this, back around this way, just to anchor it. Okay.
That's a lot to pull through.
It is at first, yes. And you're just pulling and wrapping, yeah. And then
Do you know what this reminds me of? This is what
wrap it over.
Tiaras have. All tiaras have wires that are wrapped with velvet.
Oh,
Yeah, so that way they didn't hurt their heads.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And plus,
And
how heavy they are.
And they had to have something to pin it on because you don't want your tiara slipping off.
No, we don't. We never want that. Okay.
That could be really bad.
Yeah. But this just kind of covers a multitude of sins, doesn't it?
Well, it's totally looking luxurious just by wrapping it in silk. I think a lot of dressers tend to want to make an actual hat for things. And you wouldn't be going to a cotillion wearing your hat.
Well, right. There's,
You'd
yes.
want to have something on your head, and in the 19th century, having you had to have something on
Right.
decoration in your hair, a hat, a bow, a ribbon, or tiara, something.
Right, and no straw hat for this
No.
event.
No.
Well, there was a big difference between indoor wear and outdoor wear.
This is easy. You're just whipping through it.
Well, it's kind of fun because you can't wait to get to the end
Well, it's the fun
to see
part.
how it's turning out. Okay, let's see. Maybe one more time through here.
Wow, that looks great.
Let's see.
And see, now you can see it doesn't really matter now you have much more control over the wire, don't you?
Right.
Now that it's covered.
And we're going to take a little stitch here just to make sure that stays. Let's see. Yeah, that's gonna stay there.
you just have to knead it and prod it and beautiful.
Kind of look at it and cut a little bit off.
Don't cut too much off.
I know, I won't have a
fringes.
fringe. I want it to be even. Okay, there we go. All right. And just kind of.
I mean, you could really, at this point, you could shape it on the doll's head, couldn't
Right.
you? Use
So
her
I
little
just wanted
noggin
to sort
for
of give a little shape to it. All right. Now, we do want some flowers. And you're gonna get these beautiful, they almost look like they're sugar-coated, don't they?
They do,
They're
they
just
do, don't they?
gorgeous. Vintage flowers here. Okay.
blue and green.
What we want to do is make this lovely little tendril on each of the flowers. And so that's easy to do. And just take a large needle and just start twisting.
That makes a beautiful finish to a
It
flower.
does, and I always wrap things so tightly. That's why I can't really knit, because it's on the needle so hard.
You can't get it off?
The yarn that I can't get it off. Yeah.
Oh, you
Like I
gotta
can't get this
relax.
one off. I got it. Okay.
Well, we're gonna curl these all up, and we'll be right back.
'Cause
So
that'll take a
you
minute.
all, you all go curl. She's got to
Go
relax because I might have to do her curling. That is tight. That's a real tight.
That is a
little-
tight.
Okay.
Okay, we'll loosen up here and then we'll come back.
Okay.
I've started decorating this headband with some of the flowers, and you're just going to place them wherever you think they look good and just keep working them. They're bendable, they're fabulous. I put a few up here in the front just to sort of set the front off like that, and then a couple on the side. What I would recommend is when you put them on, you don't want to do it too loosely, they'll flop around and move around. So kind of,
So we're just bending them on. We're not sewing them down. We're
No.
just bending them around.
but get that first bend over pretty nicely. And
like
then
how you do your knitting, tight.
that's how I do mine. Which you don't want to do your knitting like that. Okay, let's just put a couple more on. And you can put them this way, that way. And I guess the beauty is there's no wrong way.
There's no wrong way.
Okay. Now, we want to put a few of these little green ones, beautiful green ones
I
in here
think
too.
the green ones really set off the blue.
Yes. And I think I needed, okay, we're not going to finish.
Do you need some more flowers?
I do. I do.
You didn't really use that many more flowers than you put out.
No. I mean, it's you don't want a million on here. It's just I love these little tendrils.
You just have to fuss with
You
it.
fuss with it till you've got it. we've done the flower decoration around this little headdress, and now we're going to turn it over and add some tulle. You'll have little cut pieces of tulle in your kit. Gather one end, just however which way, just gather it up and turn it under. So you have a little kind of knot right here. See? I'm going to turn that under, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 little corners, and that's where we're going to attach these pieces onto these little corners. And you're going to sew right to the ribbon.
So Denise, there's no right way or wrong way to
No,
do this.
not really.
This is just fun.
Yes.
It's like a flower arrangement. There's no right way.
Yes, that's a good way to put it, actually. And then do the same thing on the other side. Gather it all up. And fold it under. Folding it under this way so that the raw side isn't showing from
And it also
underneath.
probably gives you something to sew.
To
too.
sew, right, exactly.
It's not going to pull through.
You're going to put this at this little
So
corner.
it kind of billows out slightly.
Yes.
Poofs up.
Poofs out. And then it's just going to poof loosely down here. So it just lies loosely. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay. And then put it in that corner.
These flowers do look like sugar candy.
Don't they? It's just so beautiful. And then you can imagine if she's at a dance, a party
Cotillion.
dance, cotillion, and there are candles shining.
Oh, yes.
She's going to look so beautiful. Just got it around this little tendril there. So we've got a lot of stuff now. Okay, here we go. Not this. Okay, so here's the other side.
And you really have to do this after the fact because
Well,
otherwise the flowers would be fighting.
You wouldn't be able to wrap them around.
Yeah.
Yes. So. I'd love to see the finished works that people
Oh, well, I think
will do.
they'll
I think
share them.
they should share, post them.
Oh, no, they will. They've got a lot of work ahead of them.
They have 4 seasons to
Yeah.
play with,
Oh, yeah,
which
they're-
is so nice. What a wardrobe, huh, for your doll?
Oh, yes. A lot of people have bought all four, which is really very complimentary to the designers.
And it's nice that people are still sewing, you know?
Well, I think
still
there's
love
a
it.
nice revival of it. And I think today people are doing better doll sewing than they ever were when I started.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. So much better sewing. So many, and there's so many of them.
Right.
And they're very talented people.
Yes, yes. Lots of talent out there, for sure. And I'm just kind of, it is loose. You're not going to sew it all the way around.
No, you just want it to just
But
poof.
what I found is if you spray it with that sizing that we talked about earlier,
Which everyone should have.
yes, it really, it just sets it and shapes it. Then it's a little damp and you can kind of move it around
And
and
give it
it'll
that antique look.
stay. Right, and it'll stay.
All right. Well, we
you've
should
got a little-
we should get
little
her
cap.
together and then show everyone the finished
Okay,
product.
let's do that.
Well, Denise, you did it.
Yes, we have all done it.
And look who came in and snuck into
Oh my goodness.
into this little. I thought this was the Hooray Four Seasons.
Well,
this is not.
However, we don't discriminate, and our little Miss Romer looks just beautiful.
I think that's
in
just
this
amazing
costume.
that you
Yes.
didn't do anything to it.
No, I did not. No, this costume I fit to this Hooray doll.
And you can see there's a difference in height, but it doesn't seem to be fits perfectly. I mean, I can't.
No,
you know,
it
I'm critical,
looks
and I would
right,
say,
right.
"Wow, we need to adjust that." But that really worked out good. Well, this was a great workshop, and you did a wonderful job.
It was fun. Thank you.
And I learned
Thank
so
you.
much, and I think that the public will learn so much. And thank you, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you
Bye bye,
next
doll
time.
friends.
Bye bye.